Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 9 signs of toxic behavior. The reason why I wanted to record this video is because those of you who are recovering people pleasers may relate to what I'm about to say. As a recovering people pleaser myself, I really didn't know the line between what was healthy and what was unhealthy, because a lot of times toxic behaviors have happened to us in our youth. And so that becomes kind of normal and commonplace in our life. Although there's a part of us inside that's kind of like, this isn't right. Something doesn't feel right to me. But those times that we have tried to speak up, especially in our youth, we were either shut down or shunned or told we were being dramatic or some type of something. So we didn't really get to form a real clear picture of what is healthy and what is not. But as recovering people pleasers, it's really super important that we do know what is healthy and what is not healthy. For me, as soon as I really started to realize that is not healthy and this is what healthy is, that helped me to fine tune what it was, where I needed to stand up for myself or set and maintain healthy boundaries. And there's a cool thing that happens here when we do this. So stay tuned to the end so I can share that with you. But first, I want to get into the 9 signs of toxic behavior. If you're new here, I invite you to subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications. The first sign of toxic behavior is someone who takes things super personally. Now, all of us at some point in our life have taken things personally. I mean, that's part of the human experience. That's part of our healing from our shame and unworthiness within. However, a toxic person is going to take almost everything personally, like where you're going to have a really difficult time having normal conversations with them because they're always going to be upset or think you hurt their feelings or feeling like they are attacked. And the second behavior that I want to share with you guys is super defensive. So you know what that means. You go to say something and it could be completely benign, and all of a sudden this person is like super defensive and their defense comes at you really hard and strong. And you're like, whoa, bro, I didn't mean anything by that. And you know in your heart you didn't say anything that was strange. But again, if we're used to that type of behavior in our youth, we may not notice that right away as being super defensive, as being toxic. But it actually is toxic behavior because that defense ends up oftentimes being an attack on us. And the third sign of toxic behavior is that they're always the victim. Now, I don't want to diminish that a lot of us have been victimized in life. We've had bad things happen to us, and that is perfectly legit and understandable. However, what I mean by being excessively a victim is someone who is poor me all the time, and they're poor me no matter what is happening. You know, someone takes their parking space, or someone took the last, loaf of bread that they like. And it's just like, everything bad happens to me. You understand what I'm talking about. And this can be very difficult to be around because there's no light and effervescence being around them. It's really a negative experience. Which leads me to the fourth sign, which is hypernegativity. Now, most of these things that I am mentioning today are things that all of us have done at some point. I mean, I was negative last week. I remember being negative last week about something, but it doesn't stick for extended periods of time. Hyper negative people are people that always focus on the dark side of things, the lack mentality, the fact that, nothing is ever going to go right. It's kind of like an Eeyore sort of feeling and a draggy feeling. And the fifth sign of toxic behavior is someone who yells or gets angry easily. Although I'm a huge advocate for anger, anger is just an emotion. And it is really important that we feel it through to fruition and we process it in a healthy way. However, oftentimes this toxic behavior is stemming from somebody who has not processed their anger effectively. So when something happens in their life, it's just, it's the first thing that comes out of them is their anger. And oftentimes it turns toxic because it is directed to us. Again, anger in itself is not toxic. I need you guys to understand that it's a healthy emotion that we all feel at some point. However, if we don't process it effectively and it's blown up on somebody else, then that is when it becomes toxic. And the sixth sign is that these people are really judgmental. Now, we're all judgers, okay? That's just how we're designed. And it is designed purposely because our judging our external environments and the people in our lives is designed to help us stay safe. However, people that are hyper judgmental are way off the spectrum with this, and they're judging everybody about everything all the time. And that is a sign that they are toxic. And the seventh sign is insecure and jealous. We all know what this means. And many of us have probably been insecure and jealous at some points in our life. And maybe you have even been to the point where it was a toxic behavior. And that's okay if you have. In fact, if any of these things that I'm listing today or you're going, I'm kind of like that. That's all right. This doesn't necessarily mean that you are a toxic person, okay? Because we all do many of these things throughout our life. Again, the key is if we're doing it to an excessive amount. So insecurity and jealousy is often rooted in severe shame and unworthiness. So they're extremely unsure about who they are. So they're looking to the outside world to make them feel safe, but yet the outside world is never going to make them feel safe. So they're going to be hyper vigilant watching everything you say or do, because they're going to go, is this okay? Does this make me feel worthy, or does this not make me feel worthy? And if they have a really thick filter of unworthiness, chances are that they're going to be very insecure and jealous. And the 8th thing is selfish. This kind of goes without explanation. This just means that a person is really, really hyper-focused on their own needs. They constantly want to get their own needs met, and they care very little, if at all, about other people's needs and wants. And the last thing is controlling. Now, again, all of us have a controlling nature at some point in our life. And here's why. Because we have 2 parts of the psyche. We have the higher self, which is our God self. And then we have our lower self, which is our ego self. And the ego is rooted in fear. And the ego wants us to control. So many of us are trying to control certain things in our environment so that we can feel safe. That in and of itself is not toxic. When it becomes toxic is when people want to put that control onto you. And they want to control everything that you're doing so that they can feel safe. So I hope these 9 signs really helped you today, especially if you are a recovering people pleaser and you're looking to up your empowerment game, because this will give you a really clear guideline about what is okay and what is not okay. I needed to have this type of guideline for myself so that I could understand, because I too am a recovering people pleaser. I'm mostly on the other side of it now, and I understand things very differently, and I've implemented the self-love practices that I needed to heal from the inside so that I could have a better outside experience. But the one thing that I wanted to share at the end of this that I said to hold on for is that many times, if people are not extreme narcissists, if they're just somewhere in the toxic behavior spectrum, all that means is that they have some unhealed wounds inside of them. And they may be on such an autopilot response with these things where they're just acting from their unconscious all the time, that when you start to set and maintain healthy boundaries with them through calm assertiveness, you're going to be shining a light on something that maybe they really weren't aware of. I know that sounds strange, but please bear with me, because a lot of times, like I said, we're on autopilot. So if they value you in their life and you are consistent with your boundaries, chances are that they're going to start to heal and grow and shift those places inside of themselves. So I hope you guys got so much from this video today. I super love being here with you. And again, if you haven't yet, please subscribe and turn on notifications. And I would super love a fat thumbs up if you enjoyed this content. And I'll see you guys next time.